Good evening. My name is Ambihaipahar. I'm the new federal member for Barton, which is in the southern part of Sydney. I'd like to first up acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands that we're meeting here today, pay my respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to any First Nations people who is joining us this evening. Thank you, Priya, Anton, the committee members, board members, all the distinguished guests, including my parliamentary friend Andrew here tonight. And it's such an honour to be here on the 10th anniversary. This is my first event here with this chamber, and I'm really privileged to be here tonight. For me tonight it's quite personal, so I'll tell a little bit of a story about myself. So I was born in Sydney, and like many kids of migrants, I grew up with very limited ability to speak my mother tongue, and that is Tamil. Unless you count the words that my uncle used when I was in trouble and my attempt of learning Tamil watching 90s Tamil movies like Muthu. At school, sometimes I wonder with the other kids what we'll think when I pulled out my lunchbox as well. Growing up in Hurstville, they'd pull out a sandwich with ham and cheese in their sandwich, and I'd have either garlic pickle or acharo sort of stuffed into the sandwich, and I could see some smiles here in the room when I said that, and it's quite a familiar story for most migrants when they're moving here to Australia. And my story is also a little bit complex. I'm a daughter of a Sri Lankan mother, raised by my uncle in Sydney, but also raised by a Maltese and Italian family, which basically meant growing up negotiating some sort of peace treaties between curry, pasta and patsitsis. It was a very interesting upbringing, but also being able to immerse myself in other cultures here in my local area. It was very loud, it was very colourful, and it was a little chaotic at times, but also the best education that you can ever get is actually immersing yourself, learning the heritage and cultures of this very diverse country, and that's what Australia represents. I saw firsthand how my uncle worked really hard to carve out a life here in Australia. He didn't have his networks, connections, or even much money to fall back on, but what he did have was a lot of courage and determination, and a very strong belief that Australia was a place where you could build something from nothing. And I think that's what tonight is about and what it resonates with me, because what the Australian Tamil Chamber of Commerce has created over these 10 years is exactly that. A community where businesses don't just only survive, but they're thriving and also quite successful and sharing the success amongst each other. The Australian government knows the strength of our economy pretty much lies in its diversity. Multiculturalism is it's not just about food and festivities, which is also wonderful, but it's also economic inclusivity. It's about making sure communities like ours are empowered to build businesses and create jobs and all these opportunities as well. And that's why we're very committed to supporting this diverse business communities, because when small businesses are winning, communities are winning, and so is Australia. The Chamber has become more than a business network. It's a hub. You've heard tonight, it is very much about mentorship, collaboration, friendships that I can see tonight. And it's where the next generation of Tamil Australian entrepreneurs will find their role models and inspirations. And I have no doubt that the next 10 years will be even much more impactful. So I'm going to leave you with this as my closing statement. I say this a lot. I did my first speech as a new parliamentarian, and I try to take an aspect of it quite often wherever I go to do speeches. And I'm sure Andrew's heard it a few times. But one thing is, in life, no one chose what family that they were going to be born into, or where they were going to be born, what colour their skin is. But I think what is really important is that we have to choose kindness, and more importantly, what I can see is that we choose to contribute in some shape or form, whether it's through business, volunteering, and what you're building here today with being a part of this particular chamber is very important. So today it is about celebrating a decade of all of you choosing to build a very strong Australian Tamil community together. And I cannot wait to see what the next 10 years hold. So congratulations to the Australian Tamil Chamber of Commerce and every member who has made part of this journey. Nandri, Vanakkam.